Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psionic Aftermath MVD Cup. I will be your host and caster, Lord of Terrans, or Terran Lord, as I am called in game. And from what I've seen by the bracket, we've got some quite good names. We've got Dust, who's a really good turn. Odie, who's I think something like 91 and 39 on the ladder. He's really rose up the ranks. He joined when he was gold. So he's definitely a favourite. Baxter as well is a really strong Zerg player. And then we've got some other slightly weaker players, I'd say, but definitely who have a chance. Players like Nemesis, Xenodactyl is definitely one of those who can take maps off anyone with his cheeky cannon rushes. The first game of the night that we will be going into will be Warbuffle and Ariach, and these two have faced, I think, a few times in the past. They played recently in JSL. I think it was best of 3 or best of 5. Can't really remember the exact amount of games. And Warbuff did take that series, I think, not dropping a map. So it'll be very interesting to see those two players duke it out. And whoever wins that series will be going into playing against Dust, who I think Dust obviously is favored in that he's one of the favorites for this tournament, seeded number 1 by MMR. So it'll be very interesting to see how either Ariach or Warbuff do against those two. And the reason why I wanted to cast Warbuff is I'm very good friends with him. I've played a lot of games against him. I've seen a lot of his games, so I know his playstyle pretty well. And I felt like he needs to be shown a bit more because he doesn't play as much in the clan wars and different tournaments because he's slightly weaker than some players. And I think looking at the bracket, I'd rather cast the slightly better players later on, just because of the fact that they will be casted no matter what. So just waiting on Eric to come. He did say that he was going to be a few minutes late, but even then I decided to just get it going. As much as this is the first time I am casting and streaming a tournament, so bear with me. I probably will make a few errors when it comes to changing overlays and stuff, but it definitely will be very interesting because it's something I have wanted to do for quite a while now. I've been waiting to get fiber done, but it's finally here and I can finally cast tournaments. And I already see quite a few people in chat, and one thing I got is thank Dust for donating 21 bits, and I think a lot of people recently have been donating bits. Xenodactyl is one of them, and Dust himself with those 21 bits has put him up on third, tied with Xenodactyl actually. And Baxter right now is currently sitting at the top, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone can take him down. And I know he probably holds that spot quite dear, and he would want the money from this MVD for 100%, and I'm confident that he can definitely win that. So it seems like Arach is on his way, that he is almost home, so shouldn't be too long from now. Actually didn't see what matchup is going to be. It's going to be a PVZ with Warbuff being the Protoss and Arach being the Zerg, and I can imagine based on both of the players that we'll see more of the standard maps like Lost and Found, Catalyst, Acid Plant, just because both of them do favor like those macro plays and play a lot more standard. Especially Warbuff, I do know he loves his Stargate play. He's quite a big fan of Neeb, and he kind of reveres him, calling him a god from time to time. He doesn't necessarily play like Neeb all the time, but he definitely has his own style, and I think that's always very nice to see from lower league players, that they don't just look at how the pros play and copy it like for like. I myself, I don't really have a like and style to a pro player. I think that's also because of ping. It does make a difference sometimes, but players pick their own styles, and that is definitely something that I like to see. even when you're casting open tournaments, when you see like Masters 1 GMs, you still see a lot of different styles to what you normally see in tournaments like WCS or GSL. Yeah, and you got 10 viewers in chat, and how are you guys doing? It's quite a good night. Well, for me, it's basically morning because it's 12:15, but even then, I'm very passionate to cast this. Hope you guys are doing well, and hope you're excited for some great StarCraft, which I'm sure these players will provide for you. And I think actually this is quite fitting in the way that I'm casting this, just because of the fact that I won the last MVD Cup with my short stint in Diamond after being Masters for the one season, but then dropped quite far in Emerald, but now back to Masters, so I myself can't play. And next week should be the MVP Cup, which will display some of our best Masters and GMs, players like Jardoza, Kingslayer, Jetrix, who all have done really well for us and are continuing to improve. So that will be very interesting to see that. Just waiting on Ariel still. Probably should be a couple more minutes, and then we can get straight into the games. And from there, it should be a free flowing tournament. And actually, one player who I completely missed from the bracket is Sun Lily, and she used to be Masters, and she's a really good Zerga. I'm actually surprised that she's got down to Diamond, but I think it's always that one thing where maybe it's a patch, maybe you're not playing as well as you used to, you're not playing as much, and sometimes that can affect you in a big way. Even if it's something like change of weather, it can affect you a lot, especially in a game like StarCraft 2, just because it's so much about that mental focus. That if you're not on mentally, then you're in a lot of trouble. Um, just trying to that is definitely a weird one. I'm not sure. It should change, because I know I definitely could change my name. I used to be just Lord of Terrans on Twitch, and then I decided to change it to PsiX _Lord of Terrans, just so I could display the clan tag a lot better and show that I'm part of Psionic Aftermath, which, I mean, it's a great clan. Ever since I joined in January, I haven't had a bad time. It's been great hanging out with a lot of guys and seeing quite a few new faces. Um, Verify the email. I didn't have to do that. Maybe because I did it before. I assume you've probably tried to click resend verification email, because that would be the most obvious. I'm not really sure. That is definitely a weird one. And when it comes to tech issues and stuff like that, I'm not the best. I will admit that. I know kind of like the basics and how what I've done, but I am not really sure which way to go from there. That makes sense. Okay, I was I was wondering, didn't actually use it. Also, if you want to check out other games, Jetrix is streaming this as well. So his stream is twitch.tv/JetrixAC2, and he's casting Fenrir Wolf against Sunlily right now. So if you want to catch that game, you can go do that. And also, there's something called Multi Twitch, which you can use and watch both streams at once. And it's just waiting for this game still. I think, I know I keep saying that, but I think Ariel should be here shortly. I'm not really sure how long he's got before any kind of walkover is given. I know for normal tournaments that is 15 minutes from tournament start, but for this one, I am not 100% sure, because I don't think it's in the rules. Maybe let me just look. Yeah, there's nothing in the rules that I can see, but I'm sure Snoopy is probably sorting it out. As we know, police dog Snoopy is always on the case. J Skippy following everyone in PsiX. Truly a friend of PsiX. Truly, truly is. Actually, want to go see what is happening in the other game quickly. I think I've followed Jedrick's channel. Just while we wait, and then you can see what's going on there. I won't show you the game because that defeats the purpose of you watching the stream. But I just want to check out the see while we wait. So yeah. Yeah, it says CVP on the other streams. The game's gone on for quite a bit, so it's quite a CVP on both streams, and that is something that I've seen quite a lot recently on the Sonic Aftermath streams. Is a lot of PVC. I'm not sure exactly why. It just seems to happen a lot, and I think that's also down to the fact that we have a lot of Pronos players and a lot of Zergs. Very few Terrans. Like when you look at it, and like a lot of Pronos or Zerg players asking in chat, is there any Terrans who can help me out? There's normally maybe one or two that respond, but when there's asking for a Pronos Zerg, there's multiple, just because we seem to find a lot of Pronos and Zergs and not necessarily find any Terran players. I'm not sure exactly why though. Maybe it's just that Terran players don't like Psionic Aftermath. I highly doubt that is the actual truth. Let me actually just ask Snoopy. But, we don't want to practice. True. Whenever Faith asks me to practice, I'm like, nope, sorry, I can't. It's just Terrans aren't as committed as Protoss and Zerg players are. It's just how it is, I guess. I don't know why, but that's it. Yeah, he tries very hard to play a lot of cousins. That's very true. Pink sock him. Yeah, Pink Socks is quite a sight in the PsiX Discord. Every time there's a ping, all you just see is people spamming Pink Socks. John is, or Goon, as he in chat, is normally the one to spam it the most. I think he just likes annoying Faith. Oh, whenever he plays me, he just plays standard. I mean, then again, I've only played him like 3 times, so I can't actually tell you if he cheeses more or not. I haven't played him recently. I think the last time I played him was a couple of weeks ago. But then also for you, it's probably not worth playing against someone like 500 MMR below or something. Especially considering the fact that it's EU versus NA and, EU meta. Wow, Blinkolin. That's not something I've faced in a long time. That too. So maybe I should play Faith more often, and then I'll get the cheese. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of facing cheese, just because I prefer my standard games. I myself do not cheese. So what you're saying, every time he asks me now, I should just have an excuse. Even if I'm literally playing a ladder game, I should be like, oh, sorry, I need to do this now, and then play a ladder game. Nah, it's chill. I don't mind the constant asking. It's the reason why I joined the clan. The fact that it's so active, it's great. Just being sucking. Maybe I'll start doing that. Then again, I'm a nice person, um, and I don't like being mean to people. That's just me. Except John, though. I don't like you, so I'll be mean to you. Yeah, that terrain's OP. Very true, very true. The thing is, I don't know what to call myself. Am I an NA Terran or an EU Terran? I don't actually know because technically I'm from neither. So like, classifying me is weird. I play majority on EU, but that's just because of ping. Um, See, I don't really know. Phoenix tips. Hello, Phoenix is someone. I haven't been in a game yet, so I can't really tell you for sure. But yeah, I'm dropping quite a few frames though. And I'm not in game yet. Let me see if maybe I can do something. African Terran. Yeah, not according to Blizzard though. According to Blizzard, I'm a European Terran. I don't know why. EU. I don't know. EU, NA, African, whatever. Doesn't really matter to me too much. What do you mean EU? Not really though. I don't play EU meta. I play different. I can't. Well, that's good then, because I don't like you anyway. That's fine. That's fine with me. And it appears Eric has arrived, so we should be getting games underway very soon. I hope there'll be good games. I can imagine there will be. KK. Greatest announcement 2018. KK. Ooh, I'm getting invited to a party. Fancy. Oh, so she deleted the announcement that says KK. That's sad. Who do I think is gonna win? My money. I think Odie. I think he's probably the strongest here, even though his MMI is. I think he's been very strong. He keeps rising up, and from what I've seen, he looks really strong. But at the same time, Dust is very strong, and so is Baxter. So yeah, it's best of three, so anything can happen. But I think once it gets to the final, then it will be a lot different because it's best of five. Normally in the best of five, the better player should win, but definitely Odie and Dust are the two I think are going to make the finals, and then Odie's going to make 94 and 41. It's crazy. Yeah, no one likes Redshift. Redshift is a very interesting map. I'll put it at that. I don't really know what else to say about it, to be honest. was listening to Despacito. At least I think that's what it is, even though his spelling is kind of weird. But that's war for you. His spelling is it's very weird sometimes. 22 and 3 on Catalyst. Okay then. Yeah. I always seem to be like 50-50 on Catalyst, whereas last season or this season, I just seem to be even. Yeah, got it the second time round. Yeah, stats are insane. Good with Espanol. I don't think that's down to not being good with Espanol. I think it's just down to your spelling is being weird. Like he sometimes spells the weirdest things. So yeah, we are getting vetoes underway. Welcome to 2018. Yeah, that song really is 2017. I remember it was all the craze back then. Let's see. How's war looking? So, pretty even. PVT is looking pretty strong. But 13 and 12, okay. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. For some reason, I am just always look at the Terran one. No, PVZ is his weakest, and I think he does struggle a lot against Zerg cheeses. I know whenever I cheese him, he definitely struggles a lot. But he's getting a lot better recently with it, especially when defending against like Ling aggression and stuff like that. His PvP, I mean, it's 58%. Can you really say, yeah, do you know PvP? Because it's a really, really weird one. Ever since patch 4.0, I don't think PvP has really had a stable meta. Like whenever I cast PvP, I do sit there rather confused sometimes because I'm not really sure. Yeah, but both players, I think so far the vetoes are Redshift and Darkness Sanctuary, and if I had to pick two maps that would be vetoed, it would be those in almost every single series, just because they're very weird maps, and especially Darkness Sanctuary for Protoss, it can get really weird with that wall off, and then going past 4 bases can be very difficult for both players. And War vetoes Dreamcatcher, another very unsurprising one. Definitely not a fan of that map. So far left we've got Lost and Found, Catalyst, Acid Plant, and 16-bit. I think out of those 4, probably 16-bit's gonna get vetoed, and then we'll see the other 3. Goon favorite Terran player of all time. Not mine, that's for sure. And that's not because oh, I see what he's asking. Yeah, I agree with you, Goon. Pult is definitely Senpai. He's been my favorite Terran since I started watching playing StarCraft, which was at the end of 2015. BlizzCon 2015 was the first tournament I ever watched, and I fell in love with the way Paul played, and just the way he carried himself was great to see. We are going into the first game, and it's been quite a bit. We had to wait, and those vetoes took quite a bit longer than I expected. Yeah, I can imagine. I'd fangirl hard if I ever faced him on ladder. I'd lose straight away. Like the first Reaper battles, I'd be like, yeah, I lose this Reaper battle, and then I lose the game pretty much because I can't do anything. Yeah, he was fearless. Those drops that he did was just insane. And to think back then with the Polt Viking, and now it's become a standard thing for Terrans in TVZ, just because almost whenever you go Banshees or Liberators, you go for that Viking just to clear those Overlords and retake that map back for yourself. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. I'd probably end my SE2 career, um, considering it you killed his Reaper, and even if you didn't win the game, I'd take that as a win. Like, I remember when I played Reang once, I was like, oh, I won the Reaper battles. I win the game now, don't I? Isn't that how it works? I think so. But yeah, we are loading into game number 1 on Catalyst, as expected. And once again, I'm expecting something very standard from these two players. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Maybe Arak will go for cheese. I don't really see Warbuff going for cheese just because he's one of the most standard pros I've definitely played against. But yeah, let's get introductions underway. So spawning in the bottom right, representing Psionic Aftermath, he is Warbuff. And the top left, in the red, also representing Psionic Aftermath, with the funky drones, he is Ariok. Okay. You're seeing War going for the low ground Warloff, and this is something you almost have to do in PvZ because Link Floods and any kind of Link Bane attack can be very dangerous if you do not have that Warloff. And one thing I know War has been struggling with definitely is getting that Warloff. I think on a map like Catalyst, once you've played so many games on this, you almost get the intuition of how to war. And for what you're seeing from Arak is that he's going standard. He's going for the hatch first, he'll drop the spawning point gas very soon. Warbuff is going for that probe scout. He just wants to see, are you sending a low of aggression in my way? Or is it just going to be the standard follow-up as we see? And there's the gas going down with the spawning pool very shortly. And Warbuff, I can imagine, is going to go for the Nexus as soon as he's got the 400 minerals in the bank. But at the moment, very standard so far, and nothing much to talk about. This is what you normally see from PvZ, but so far Eric has not saturated his gases, and there is that saturation, so his speed is going to start a little bit later than what it normally would if he had saturated those gases as soon as it finished. And then comes the good luck have fun from Eric. Saying he's very rusty, and I don't think he's played a lot recently. I think he used to be quite close to Plat 1, but now he's at the moment he's Plat 2, so he's probably struggling a lot with getting a lot of games in, and that happens from time to time. It's not like you're at that top level, you're playing every single day, and even sometimes you can just have a bad couple of days or even a week. It just puts you off your game. And we are seeing Arak go for that third base at the standard time. Warbuff should be able to scout that with the probe on the map, but if he wants to keep this probe alive, he does probably want to get this out very shortly, even though there aren't links on the way just yet, and as I say that, they do start. But still, the third base hasn't been thrown down. I think that's just down to the fact that he doesn't have the minerals just yet. And on Warbuff's side of the map, we are seeing a Stargate, which very standard in PvZ. At one point was almost what you had to do in PvG just because link drops were so dangerous, but now it's not as desperate, but it's almost a build that I feel like you should go for just because it's super safe. It defends against any kind of Ling or Baneling aggression or even roaches because the Oracle does very well against those Ling Bane, or the Void Red does well against the roaches, and also the Oracle can be aggressive across the map or even just tag the army for later on in the game, and then you know exactly what your opponent's doing, what your opponent's going for. And we are seeing the first adept move in. He's going to start targeting down drones. He does get once to start with. Maybe able to get a second one. He looks like he's going to shade into the main base, but I think he will lose the depth. But before that, does get a third drone. And the drones are pulled off the line just to nibble at the rest of that attempt. And I'd say trading one adept for 3 drones, probably not the best, but considering that he is up in workers at the moment, it isn't too bad. And he is starting to throw down the extra gateways as well as the Twilight Council, and the first Oracle is on the way, so if Arak is looking to be aggressive, he does need to be very careful. He has thrown down that painting, yes, but it's not looking like he wants to be too aggressive so far. He's just droning up for now, and he's trying to pressure these gateways and try to force Warbuff into a mistake, but he's being very cautious with the depth, not setting out too far, making sure he picks off their links, does damage, and then he doesn't allow those links to get in to get the scout. Cause, I mean, 2 to 4 links shouldn't really do too much damage when it comes to killing crows, but they make it 1 or 2, which can be very annoying, as well as if it scouts attacks, such as he sees the Twilight Council, then it can do a lot of damage. I don't know if he's scouted the Stargate just yet. No, he hasn't scouted it yet, but he probably has seen the Oracle, and he almost knows that's what's coming, and having played against Warbuff a couple times before, I'm sure he knows that he's going to go in one side of the Oracle and one side of the other, so he may be able to get a couple drones, but that one Oracle's going to go down. The second one is going to go down as well, so he loses both Oracles and only killing 4 drones. He's lost quite a bit there, but he's still up and working at this point, and I would like to see him with the excess minerals throw down that 3rd hatchery, third nexus. He doesn't really have much that's going to challenge him at this point. And because as you can see, Arak is still drawing up. He's getting 2 evolution chambers, so he's playing for the later stages. The Robo is coming down for buff, so this is very standard transition. I'd say maybe a little late on that Robo. Normally see it probably before that Twilight Council and with a slightly earlier 3rd base, but so far everything is looking pretty good. And on Arak's side of the map, he's also getting that lair, and I can imagine he'll be going into the Hydrolink Bay just because it's the standard for most matchups. Zerg except in DVC, just because that Link Bay can deal with a lot of what Terran and Kronos can throw at you, and then those Hydras just pack such a big punch as the rest of that army dealing with any kind of anti-air. But we are seeing a few Zealots move out on the map. There's no War Prism to speak of as of yet, and I mean, Arak was looking to find those links, get some damage with them, maybe get cancel on that 3rd base. But he may have a little trouble. He does have 4 queens, but no banelings just as of yet. And if these Zealots get on top of those queens very quickly, they could do quite a lot of damage. And he needs to start getting those links pretty shortly. We are seeing him get baneling speed as well as missile attack and carapace, and he's getting a Roach and a Hydra then, so it's a little bit of a weird composition going for banelings as well as Roaches and Hydras. Sometimes you do see Roaches with banelings, but it's definitely not as standard. Normally if you're going to see Roaches in PvZ or TVG, it's normally for some kind of Roach Hydra composition, not really banelings with them. But these Chargers doesn't seem to be getting too much. They got 2 queens, which is a pretty good pick off, but haven't got any drones as of yet. But they have forced quite a few links out, and he does need to go home because losing these Zealots at this point could be costly. Arak is on the chase. The queens are as well. So far his creep spread has been pretty good. He's got most of his bases covered. He can see attacks coming before they happen, and especially with having these extra queens, he should be able to get that out pretty quickly. We are seeing High Templars, and so far no Storm for them just yet, so we do need to see these morphed into Archons before it can be really effective, because the High Templar auto attack really isn't strong. And Arak is posturing forward. He is morphing Banelings across the map, and I think he does want to try to be aggressive, but attacking into this 3rd base of Warbuff is going to be very difficult. He's got shield batteries as well as cannons on the way, and I think in seeing that, he probably should know that an attack is very dangerous. And looking at Army Spy, while Arak is ahead in Army, that's not a bad thing for the Protoss, just because your army supply hits a lot harder, especially with those Immortals and Archons, and as well as there's Roaches and Hydras mechanisms, and Roaches are quite the supply heavy unit, and Arak does need to add in a 4th base. He's banking quite a lot of gas, and that's also because he doesn't have that optimum drone count for the 3 bases, and you can see he's only mining. He only got 6 drones mining on the 3rd base, so he's not mining as effectively as he possibly could. And I would probably like to see him take off some drones of those gases, just so he can mine a bit better off those minerals while he's got this big gas bank. And we are seeing Warbuff take quite a weird 4th base. We normally see the 4th base taken either here or here for the Protoss, just because this is quite a lot open, and quite a lot further away from your third base, but at the same time, with these cannons and shield batteries, they should be able to delay for long enough that the Zerg player can, that the Pros player can react, and he still has quite a few out Templar, and he does have Storm now, so an attack here would probably be very risky considering he's only up 11 army supply to Warbucks, and Warbucks adding extra gateways as well, so now we start to see that real gateway explosion. He should be able to get quite a big army quite very shortly. We're seeing 2 bendings roll in. Warbuck is not reacting. They get actually 0 probes just because you need that +2 just to one-shot those probes, and also because of that shield battery, those probes were able to go up to full shields very quickly. But you're seeing +1 armor finishing up very shortly, and he'll have 1-1 with. I wouldn't be surprised to see 2-2 starting very soon. +1 armor I think is very weird for the pros when you're going for this composition, because Archons are very heavy on those shields and not really on that HP, so that armor doesn't help them out too much, but for the Chargeless and Immortals it certainly helps quite a lot. Mean boy. And there is PsiX Optimus, the great Terran of old, of new, and the runner of these MVDs, who unfortunately wasn't here in the beginning, so I was stuck with doing this job, which I'm very glad to. There's no doubt about that. And it's also very nice to get that first cast underway. Yeah, we are seeing Warbuff drop those 2 extra Stargates, a second Robo, and probably a Feed Beacon very shortly. I know he does like to go for his carries in whatever matchup, even PvZ, PvT, or PvP. And we're seeing charges move across, and no reaction yet from Araf. These charges are going to move into the army, so they shouldn't get too much, but these might be able to pick off his hatchery if Araf isn't reacting. He does have 2 Roaches and Hydra there, and with extra units coming up, he probably won't be able to pick off his base, but for later on, that base is in quite a lot of danger. Now, we are going to see Araf move out. He's looking to attack on 2 different sides, it seems, one hitting a 3rd base and one at the 4th, but Warbuff seems to have his army pretty well split up so far, though these High Templars are kind of in the middle of nowhere. I think he does need to split these off into each sides, so then he can defend the aggression as best as possible. Though he doesn't have any observers on the map, so he has very little vision of when an attack can come from and where it will come from. And we are starting to see Erach move to a central location, and Warbuff should be able to spot this very shortly and see this attack coming in. But now we see the rest of his army move quite close. Although he is a little hesitant with it so far, I think he doesn't want to engage because he's probably worried about some kind of surrounding. We're going to see an engagement come in, and these High Templars do get some big storms off, and these Hydras go down a lot of those veins, get a lot of storms on them. Now the rest of the Zerg army does almost melt. Erach is resupplying quite a lot with Roaches and Hydras, but at the same time, he's down in army supply with Roaches and Hydras, and against a Protoss army that's almost maxed out with High Templars, Immortals, and Archons, which pack a massive punch. Yeah, the storm, but that was most certainly not safe for work. I as a Zerg player, I would not be happy to see that. And what's scary about it, there's still a lot of storms left, and Post Roach Hunter isn't too clamped out. There's so much left, and the rest of the storms come out from the Zerg army, and most of it just melts, and now all that's left is a handful of Roaches and Hydras that are trickling in, and this base should go down. With the transition coming from Warbuff possibly as well, that you can get those carriers, then it's going to be very difficult for Araf to hold them. Although a lot of the army is weakened out, there's not much buffer left. There's a Warp Prism on the way, and he can easily warp in a lot more charge right that can just support this. And there is that Fleet Beacon as well as 3 on the way for Protoss player. So he's even if this attack doesn't win the game, he's still got quite a lot behind this. He can take up into those carriers, whereas the Zerg player is still stuck on that tier 3 attack. And losing that Evo Chamber also is going to hurt a lot, because now it's going to be 2-2 versus a 2-1, and there's the storms go down again. And the GG comes out from Iron. Warbuff takes game number 1. By the way, how is the stream looking? Because I know on my end I was dropping frames earlier. I'm not really sure why, because when I was streaming yesterday, I was fine with that, but for some reason I was dropping frames. So I was just asking how that's going. Okay, stream is looking good. That's good. And I also apologize for it being in low quality in the in game, just because I forgot to change that because that's the settings I normally play. Okay, that's good. But yeah, my job frames have definitely gone down. I think I also lowered the bitrate, so that probably helped a bit. Yeah, I am casting these people, even if they do not happy. Yeah. Acid plant will be map number 2. Again, not a surprise. It's definitely a lot, I think, better for a Prolos player as compared to Catalyst. Even though the bases on Catalyst are a lot easier to take, just because on a map like Acid Plant, while there is a couple areas that you can hit from as the Zerg, the 4-5 bases are quite clumped together for the Prolos player, so you can defend pretty well, and with enough cannons and shield batteries that we saw that Warbuff got, he definitely can react to attacks a lot quicker. Probably forgot to change to the out of game overlay. As always, I forget that. Yeah, player check. Okay, it's got that. Oops. Yeah, that happens. I forget to switch players sometimes when I'm playing. Okay, it seems like we are ready to go and going to get into game number 2 and see if Ariok can bring this to a third game. Otherwise, more buff or advance to take on Dust, who, as I said earlier, is definitely one of the favorites for the tournament. Oh, because it's just that knee portrait. Every time I look at it, I enjoy it. Just it looks so good. And then just an update on the bracket before we go into the game. Suddenly took a tour over Fenrir Wolf, which I think it's no surprise. Suddenly, as I said, it is a very strong player. And then Xenodactyl taking a 2-0 over Jedi Killer, and he'll take on Odie, which will be a tough task for him. But I think with his cheeky cannon rushes and cheeky plays, he definitely can take that. Yeah, getting into introduction and spawning in the bottom right, in the blue, taking game number 1, he is Warbuff. And in the top left, in the red, going for a super early hatchery, he is Ariok. This is definitely quite a weird timing for the hatchery. Normally when you see like a Zerg throw down a building this early, it's an early spawning pool or a gas. We've seen the gas so far, but no spawning pool just yet. And based on that Joran going out, he's looking to put down a spawning pool. So we're going to see quite a bit of aggression coming out from Ariok. And I think, when he looked at last game, he thinks that Warbuff is quite a strong player, that probably stronger than him in a macro game, that maybe he can get himself an edge with the cheese. And on Acid Plant, well, it's still quite a windy path just to get to your opponent's base. You have to all the way around and around here. It's still quite a lot smaller than a lot of other maps, and I think when Warbuff sees this, they're going to see the earlier hatchery and pool. He's probably going to think something's up, that some kind of aggression is on the way, and if he doesn't, then he could be in a lot of trouble. It does slow down the Nexus, which, I mean, it might not be too bad of an issue just because, he does there is a hatchery behind it, so it probably isn't as all in. And it's probably just looking for the little bit of aggression with Lings. But at the same time, Warbuff does have, well, he did have, I think, 2 openings in the wall. There was one here and then one here, but he closed it with the cybernetics core. So he just needs to close that off and then have that a unit there just for proper wall up. We are seeing Lings on the way, and I think Warbuff doesn't actually know that this was an earlier hatchery than an earlier pull than what you normally see. We are seeing Ariok pull off gas, so he's not looking, to be too aggressive with this. You might go for a Baneless because you can afford Banelings off mining 1 gas. He's making quite a few links at this point, and this probe, while it is scouting for a 3rd base, is not. We'll see those links coming out, and if he sees the additional links coming, then he probably will know exactly what's coming. But he needs to get the wall. We are seeing the gateway in the wall with that depth come out, and he is dropping that shield battery, so he does realize that aggression is coming his way. Probably a 2nd shield battery will be very good, because then even once that runs low, you have that backup. At the same time, this isn't looking too bad for Warbuff. He's got, a pretty good wall of going. He's got the shield battery on the way. That should finish up pretty soon. And then, we've got the Stargate as well, which can defend against the Lings. Well, only already won. That was super quick. The Baneless is coming on the way, so it's going to be quite a bit of time. So by then, the Oracle should be out. A couple more depths will be there. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Drop. I didn't see you do anything. All I see is Goon saying that only 1 turret. Well, that one depth will get caught out, and it's actually going to deplete quite a lot of the shield battery energy very quickly, which then leaves the 2nd adept quite a lot. But he does leave the 1st adept alive, so now with the 2nd adept alive, so that can get extra damage, and we are seeing Lings on the way. And he is droning up behind us, so this isn't entirely aggressive, but keeping that 2nd adept alive really is big for Warbuff. Looking at your own bracket, because he wants everyone to admire its beauty. That's why. Ooh, this Cybernetics score is running really low, and it's going to get in before the walk, and the Oracle's across the map, that probably could have been prevented. He's probably going to lose another gateway. Just losing the Cybernetics score really is rough for Warbuff, and I don't think this is actually a full wall off it. Yeah, Lings do get in, but there's not too many Lings left, and they shouldn't get too much done, especially with these 2 adepts. Yeah, and yeah, they're just gonna go, just see around what they can do. They get 1 or 2 pros, but at the same time, the Oracle hasn't got done too much. Customer hasn't actually got it done, or hasn't been activated yet. But still, these pro things are running right. They get an extra pro, so this already has been a successful opening for Ariel. He's got the damage done. The cybernetics core only is restarted now with Warp Gate so far away. Besides for those oracles, that any kind of aggression from Warbuff is going to be very different. It does get a revelation off, and still no damage from him, and he isn't down too many workers. But now, because of the lack of Warp Gate, Ariel can almost drone up as he wishes. Because any kind of Warp Gate attack won't be coming for quite a long time, and he is getting that Roach Wine, which is probably just as a safety in case an attack does come shortly, which we aren't going to be seeing from Warbuff in the moment. He's only got the 1 Oracle out, so that shouldn't be able to get too much with Spore Crawlers being up in each base, but at the same time, Ariel's 3rd base is quite late, so he's not really going to have that lava to defend with. A couple of depths are coming across the map, but there should be enough queens to defend. We've got 2 in each base, and with the Roach one finishing up, he probably can make a few safety roaches just to defend against those couple of depths if he wants to. We are going to see this Phoenix clear out. And yeah, I forgot to update the scores. I'm not used to that. That's not something I normally do. I normally just cast. I don't run production. So I apologize for not updating the score. But these 2 depths are going to get in and get 1 or 2 kills, and they do shade away straight into a queen. 1 depth goes down already, and 3 drones have gone down, which is pretty nice for Warbuff, but losing 2 depths for it isn't really costly. But at the same time, he's only behind, by, actually he's ahead in worker, so he's not doing too badly, but what I would like to see from him is use more of this Chrono Boost energy, because he's got quite a lot on this natural. Now with these warp gates finished up, you can start to warp in quite a few units, and he's got a robo and charge on the way. So he might be able to, thinking of going for some kind of charge attack with a warp prism. And we are going to see a void rage probably, which is, he saw the roach one, he's probably scared of a kind of follow-up, and that's looking exactly what Arak wants to do. He wants to go for a Ling Roach attack, and the army supply is quite heavily in his favor, but at the same time it's quite heavy in Roach Ravager, and one thing that Roach Ravager Ling does not do well with is Void Rays, because they cannot ship. Yes, you've got the Coastal Files, but with good enough micro should be good. But all these 3 sentries are quite vulnerable, and if he gets on top of them, it could be a lot. We are seeing a Stasis Wall come down. That can help Warbuff quite a lot. I mean, it comes a lot of units. And he gets the tag off on the rest of the army, so he knows exactly what's coming. He's going to have charge finishing up very shortly, and with a decent amount of charge plus the Void Rings, and if he can catch a good amount of Lings in that Stasis Ward, then he might be in a pretty good position. But Arak does see it. He only catches a single Ling, so that's not too good. But force fields have been pretty good so far. But, his charges are just tearing through these roaches, and now with the Void Ray support, Arak is dropping in supply, with Warbuff taking a massive supply lead. If he keeps his third base alive, with the worker lead that he's got for himself, because his attack has been so committed, then he's going to be in a great position. Now 55 drones to 42, 55 workers to 55 now, with him just droning up behind this. He's going to look to get his buy, and this is going to be almost a desperation coming from Arak. He knows that he hasn't done enough damage, and the damage that he wanted to. Yeah, those force fields were actually better than I expected, and even though it didn't really trap the roaches as much, those links just could not help out the Roach Ravager, and once those charge lots got on top of the Roach Ravager, there wasn't much, and now we've seen the march of the charge lots, and with just links to defend, I think Arak may be in a really tough position. Yeah, and those things are really just trickling in and going down. And the sentries aren't anything far, but actually the charge does respond in time. And his only ploy now is that the spy gets up in time, but I think by the time he gets the spy up, he's going to have taken so much damage. Then it might be in trouble. God damn it, 2am. That's not something I wanted to think about while I'm casting StarCraft, or actually doing anything, because that's just not. And Warbuff should be able to see that, he sees that spy finisher, he knows it's coming, and there's the GG. Warbuff will move on to take on Dust. Yes, I know. I was thinking the same thing. It's like, Warbuff's attacking? But this game's not maxed out yet? What is going on here? That's weird. Yeah, and GG's. I think Baxter Sunlily is going on right now, so I would want to jump into that, because I know Xenodactyl does want to see that, does want to see Sunlily play, but because that's early in game, yeah, I might as well carry on with Warbuff. Yes, Havoc, your name did update. Woo. That's nice to see. I'm pleased. GG's for sure. That's for sure. It was a pretty good series, and I think there was a time there where Warbuff was, I think, looking a little shaky. He spotted the attack, I think, just in time, and he killed enough things before the attack really did anything. Yeah, I'm gonna go into Warbuff and Dust, and Warbuff's a little scared for this series. Dust is a Diamond 1 Terran, and he's really strong. But Warbuff definitely can take it. Oh, basically playing me. No, it's been a bit. That is fair. And that always goes well for me. I won't comment on that. He's gonna get vetoes on the way. It's gonna be another best of 3, and I hope you're in chat are having a good time. I certainly have had a good time so far, even though this hasn't been a lot of games so far, but they have been pretty good with. But that's previous years. I really enjoyed it. It was a very good game. We saw Eric, deviate from that macro play, realize that um, he wasn't really, as strong as playing against, in that macro game. Is it though? I don't know. I feel like I'm quite a different Terran to compare with. 'Cause every time I watch another Terran, I I don't think that's how I play. It's been quite a difference in my play style. Just because I play a lot less aggressive in the early game, and I'm more down to playing for the push game. Playing with tanks or with weather mines, depending on um, which matchup it is. He doesn't bully. Yeah, I don't think I bully him. I don't bully War. He's lying. Don't listen to him. Am I really scary though? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I've heard some people say I'm scary, but sometimes there's like some players who I know I should beat that I don't, just because of my style. They kind of counter it. Whereas, one player who is very similar skill to me is Volticus. We're obviously very good friends, and he plays a lot more aggressive than I do, and he wins against a lot of Zergs or a lot of players who I lose to, and I win against players he loses to, just because of the way our styles work out. Well, that's fair. You can't cannon rush Terrans. It's a lot harder to do that. Volt would lose his mind. Okay. So far, I think the vetoes are. Let me actually scroll up. Darkness Sanctuary, Redshift, and 16-bit. Yeah, no, that's very true. We are polar opposites. It's quite funny how wherever like we kind of coach each other, I'm always telling him macro, whereas he's always telling me drop. It's just really weird. 'Cause it just shows how different in the styles we are. Uh, and once again, it's the same four maps that have been vetoed. It's just actually wait, no, Lost from 16-bit wasn't vetoed. My apologies. It was Lost and Found, which I know Xeno's very happy about that map. Playing a very interesting PvP earlier, which I think everyone should watch and revel in it, just because it's Xeno. Like it's the way you describe Xenodactyl's playstyle. That's true. You can cannon rush Terrans. You can. Um, it doesn't really work out too much. There's probably a reason why I haven't faced too many cannon rushes on that. Like the last time I faced the cannon rushes Terran was when I played you last month's MVD, which was quite an interesting experience. I was definitely worried for a second. The power of has. It's not has. It's printf, not has. Has is not the right cannon rusher for the job. Stream it already. Are we going to Asplon for game number 1? Has the power of cheese. Yes, but printf has the power of cannon rush. There's a difference there. Cannon rushes are, yeah, unless you want printf for the job, and I'm sure Zeno does want the Printf to be his Lord and Savior. But yeah, we already loaded into game and spawning in the top left, this time in the red, playing Protoss, he is Warbuff. And in the bottom right, in the blue, playing Terran, he is Dust. Oh, whoops, apologies on that. That's my fault. Lol. Protector is recognized as a real cannon rusher. And I'm not surprised about that, to be honest. I think Printf has his own style. Like, if you don't play that style as a cannon rusher, are you really a cannon rusher? That's true, but... And we are going to see the Rax Gas from Dust, which I think it's been a lot more popular recently, especially since the change to the Stalkers. After patch 4, though, going for any kind of marine opening was very dangerous, just because the Stalkers did pack quite a punch. But now you can get away with going for the Rax Gas, and what you are starting to see a lot more is the 3 Rax openings, which are quite potent. And if you're not prepared for, you can just straight up die to it. I mean, is anyone a full-time cannon rusher besides for Printf and Printf's eyes? Maybe Cripsil. I'm not the biggest knowledge. I don't even know what. I don't have the biggest knowledge on cannon rushers besides for Printf and Cripsil, just because of you, mostly, Zeno. I know that from you. But it is, talking about this game, it is very standard from both players. You're going to see that the gateway into Nexus as well as Samacorn. Both players have skied each other, and we are seeing the Marine after the Reaper, so it's not going to be a reactor straight away. So this means that he is looking to go for the standard 1-1, and this Marine is almost just for the proxy. And Warbuff is going for a proxy. This is probably going to be a proxy Stargate based on the positioning of it. Oh yeah, Ninja. I forgot about those guys. Actually, I have heard about the Cripsil. I mean, Turkey Dano, who's played for Brazil in the nation, was almost said World Cup, because I'm so used to saying Brazil in the World Cup. King Kong, I don't think I've seen play, but Ninja, I actually have casted a few times. And I remember casting 2 games where he cannon rushed in PvP 4 times in a row. Actually, sorry, 5 times, and he won 3 out of the 5 games. Yeah. And it's going to be proxy Dark Shrine. I did not even see the Twilight Council go down. My apologies on that. Very odd positioning for a Dark Shrine, but I suppose Warbuff knows that he's down quite a bit in terms of the MMR and the skill, that if these DTs go unscouted, they could do quite a lot. There is no eBay just yet. We are seeing a starport, so seeing what he does put on, it will be very interesting. God. Let's see if I'm dropping frames. It doesn't seem that I'm dropping too many frames that I was before. That's really bad. Like, I do apologize for the laggy stream. But there's no eBay down just yet, so still no positive. And if he doesn't save up a scan for when this Dark Shrine finishes, which is going to be now, then these DTs still could do quite a bit of damage. And there, the eBay is coming down, so he should have turrets very soon. But Warpgate is actually not finished. The Dark Shrine finished before Warpgate, and he may be able to get turrets up in time if he does go for those turrets as straight away. He's going for that Raven, so he's going to have the standard detection. I think he knows that he's playing against a player who's of lower MMR rank than him, that what's the one way he can die in this game. That's probably to DT, and if he has that Raven, which also has a lot of utility in a standard game, then you can do a lot. But we are seeing 2 DTs warping in, so they're going to be met with these Marines, and so far there aren't any turrets or the Raven up just yet, but these DTs are waiting outside, and if he doesn't go now, the Raven will be out and should get down. But when the Wildemars do come in, they get 9 probes, which is really good damage for Dust, especially considering that Warbeth is quite wants to do quite a lot of damage. Okay, that makes sense. I haven't seen his TVPs a lot. The only TVP of his I have seen is where he got proxy double roboed. So I wouldn't know that. I do like the Raven. It's very safe, and also if you want to go for like any kind of tank push, then the Raven can help out a lot with the anti-armor missile. Yeah, it is apparently lagging. I don't know if there's much I could actually fix with that. I hope it does stabilize very soon. Yeah, it's actually saying I've dropped less frames than I was before. But I'm not sure. Suddenly versus OD, yeah, that's going to be a really good game. Yeah, I'm just looking at the stream now, and it does look really laggy. Tesla interference, mate. And this is a very interesting location for a Nexus. I'm not really sure about this. This is really weird. And he finally is going to scout the proxy. This Marine is going to get chopped down by that DT. But now he knows exactly where the proxy is, and he can deal with that very shortly. Yeah, he's going to send the Raven out with a few Marines, which will have stim combat shields and +1 quite soon. Or the Raven actually goes past the Marine, so he will lose quite a few Marines here. And this is a pretty decent trade for the DT, considering that the DT isn't really in a good position anymore. Yeah, he does. I think, he doesn't actually know what he wants to do sometimes, but he thinks he's playing it. Yeah. I mean, I play. I guess I'm a standard player, so I don't really play any different. I just play more cheesy. But yeah, he's going to spot this War Prism. If Warbuff loses this is going to be really bad, because any kind of counter pressure can get done. If he loses the War Prism now, with this push coming and being down so far on army supply, he has almost no way of defending the space. Oh, and he already uses the recon sentries. That's definitely an odd choice, and he will lose these sentries very early, and this is a very costly unit to lose. He does get away with 1 sentry, but he is going to lose the space, and now, even though Dust himself is only on 2 bases, you much prefer being on 2 bases against a 2-base Protoss, and Warbuff does that too, and he does have quite a strong army with these Archons and Charge Lots. But at the same time, this is a very scary Terran army. With the full Raven energy, we can get 2 anti-armor missiles out that can blanket an entire Protoss army, and with this much bio, I don't like Warbuff's chances. Yeah, they come with the first of all anti-armor missiles on the Archon, which, are a very important unit. They're going to go down straight away. These charges are going to get on the tank goes down, but the rest of the Protoss army just can't. So now Dust moving in, he's looking to secure the victory in game number 1, and with pros being killed at the same time, it's not looking good, and the rest of the Terran army can still come across the map. Yeah, OD is really scary. He's definitely one of the favorites, and it's basically inevitable to defeat. And there comes the Warbuff, and Dust takes game number 1. Everything went wrong in that game, yeah. It was rough to watch, I think, because you could just see the difference between the 2 players. And how's the stream looking now? Because if it's still lagging, then I will lower the bitrate just to see if that works out. A little better. That's good. I think I still will lower the bitrate. Hopefully that doesn't happen. That's true. Yeah, it's hard to tell. We'll wait to see when you're in game. Yeah, that gold was really. Okay, that's good. If it's not a slideshow, then that's good at least. I agree with you, Cena. It's definitely looking like those two are going to be the finals, but Suddenly can definitely take it. She's a very strong player. I remember when I faced her last, it was pretty bad showing by me. I mean, I know it didn't play too well, but I got beaten up pretty hard in a couple of TVZs on Blackpink. So yeah, was not a fun few games. Streamer is ready. Let's go. Let's go into game number 2 on Lost and Found, and probably out of this map pool, my favorite map. And Warbuff just sent me an interesting message, which I won't read out in stream. Based on what he just said, I'm expecting something very interesting coming from our Protoss player. That I will say that. I don't know what it's going to be, but it certainly will be some. Yeah, I do think that too. I think they both very, very strong players. Das is also very strong, but he's also new to this kind of scene, so yeah, I don't know how well he will do in the best of 3. But yeah, he's going to introduction game. This time he's playing in the light blue, playing Protoss, setting a probe out on the map already. He is Warbuff. And the top right, in the dark blue, taking game number 1, he is Dust. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I think we are going to see some cannons based on that. He's actually putting down like a gateway, which is really weird. Seeing this probe out on that this early and throwing gateway down on this. Like, this is a really early second payload. If you want to throw it down, he's getting both gases. So maybe he's just looking for shield batches or something. With when Dust is gonna go for the scout so far, he's not gonna see too much untoward as of yet. Maybe except for those 2 gases very early, and then he's gonna be very to see what's gonna do now. Proxy target, yeah, it is quite a positioning just because that's more for the shield batteries, but I think that it's very likely. Just the pylon being that early is definitely really weird. Dust is going to come in, and he's going to scout the fact that there's no nexus, that there is going to be a cyber core. Yeah, I do. I think that's right. I think the Dust build does definitely does much better against some kind of proxy target, whereas an early gateway won't be, but he should be able to see this pylon, and now, before anything has come down, this Reaper should be able to maybe find this probe and even get this pylon down. If the pylon goes down before a second pylon goes up, as well as like a Stargate or whatever he does want to proxy, then he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And so far he's not pulling anything. He does have the cyber core finished up, but I would like to see whatever he's building. This is yeah. I think he's going to try expand behind this. And now, going on a theme of nothing going right for him. This isn't going right for him either. And this Reaper's going to come across the map. He's going to see what is actually going. Because I think right now, if I was Dust, seeing what I've seen, I'd be very confused. He doesn't actually know exactly what Warbuff is doing. He knows that he does commit something to it, and he's probably going to maybe commit more, but we are going to see the pylon come down again, and now Dust might think, okay, the rush is over, I don't have to defend against much. He does still have that bunker that he can use, as well as, and he's getting a sniper, so he's still playing it safe, but there comes the Star, and I think you're now seeing no nexus. He's going to go back into the scout, but he's not scouting exactly where it was, and this may be able to do well for Warbuff because once you shut down that pylon where it was, you're not necessarily expecting it to be there, but he's expanding behind there. Considering he's committing 3 shield batteries, an expansion as well is quite a big commitment. But one thing, because of the bunker coming down, was Cyclone, the starport has been delayed, so getting our Vikings against this won't be out just yet. And the Reaper's going to come in again. He's going to come in and scan and see probably that nothing really going on. There's no tech at home, so he's probably wondering, what tech are you going for? Are you going for that Stargate? Are you going for that Robo? And I mean, he still doesn't, seeing that this is out here anymore. And the first Void Ray is on the way. He's adding a second factory, but he's leaving himself quite vulnerable, to defend his production, which is, if Warbuff can get on top of it, and he can put himself in a good position. But Dusty is still sculling around it. I think he still doesn't really know exactly what's going on, even though he's seen that Nexus. He has a feeling it's more of a fake out, and now seeing this Void Ray, he's going to know that exactly what the price is. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see maybe in eBay with those turrets, as well as a Viking to come out, just to start with that extra damage in the air. eBay did finish up, so he will be able to build turrets, but has got quite a good marine count, which can deplete quite a lot of the shield battery energy for now. But he doesn't want to lose that medevac, because there is quite a lot of healing which he can use for those marines, especially while in lost them. We are going to see a second Stargate on the way with another Void Ray, and he's just going to go very aggressive with these 2 Void Rays. I think he actually might be able to have enough here just to burst his guns straight away. And there are going to be 2 Void Rays after one. He's quite caught out. The Willermine does get the Stalker, and he does lose a lot of HP to GT4. The first Void Ray just survives, but now with both of them being very low, and the worst one going out, with both going down, very little shield battery energy coming in, with only 1 Void Ray coming on the way. This is looking really rough for Warbuff. He's going to have that 1 Void Ray coming out, but with that Willermine finishing up, it's actually going to get a really good shot and do so much damage. Gets half the damage. He's going to go into the base and see what damage he can get done. Behind this, he does have expansion, so he's not completely all in, but this was a really big commitment, and seeing how little units he has, he does have warp gate as well as 2 gateways, so he can warp and stalkers at home, but it has been quite a rough start for Warbuff. Only being ahead, being behind workers, he is getting quite a few workers now with this Void Ray, and that is helping out quite a lot. He's still not in a great position, but it's definitely looking better. At the same time, Dust hasn't used any energy on his CC, so he's losing a lot of mule mining time, and because of that, he's not really mining as effectively. But I'd like to see him maybe add on either an extra CC or extra Raxes down now, just so he can deplete that mineral bank that he's got. He's also not looking too hot on that Vespine gas, and he's starting to resaturate now, and he's still oversaturated at his natural, so he does need to move more ACBs on, and he's sitting at basically full energy on both CCs, and that's a lot of mining time he's losing. But he may be able to kill his opponent with this push, because it's just a handful of Zealots and a single Stalker left to defend, with quite a good chunk of Bio moving across, with a tank, a Cyclone, and a Raven. While there isn't any stimulus Bio, compared to this Protoss force, there's just not that much left, and I think this is going to be that final push that's going to knock Warbuff out. And he does bait out the Willermine shot with 1 Zealot, but at the same time there's a whole another Terran army left. He's warping in 4 Stalkers, he's got an Immortal on the way, but now he's supply blocked. I think in order to defend this, he has to make a choice to give up the space or try to defend down. He is fighting out of the range of the tank, but he throws down the interference matrix on the Immortal, and that is mainly the DPS of this Protoss army. And with the rest of the army going down, a single Zealot walking in and now getting on top of that Immortal, there's just nothing left for Warbuff. He can even depower a lot of these gateways. I mean, he's going to lift out of there. It's quite an interesting choice. I think he's just a little scared that if he does lose everything, what happens at home. He doesn't have that much army back at home. It looks like he's gonna unsiege the tank, maybe move forward with it. And he does have that third base on the way. He's got missile turrets up in each mineral line, except actually the main one. But he's getting a Ghost Academy as well, which is it's quite an early time to get a Ghost Academy, even if this was a standard in the game. It's very early. He's just going to start waiting away at his Nexus with that single tank. And now with this positioning, he should be able to get this Nexus just fine and put himself really far ahead. Warbuff is going to try to defend this with his mostly Immortal Sentry army, and Immortals against Marines, even though they have no stim, they do go down very quickly. Actually, he has stim now, and there comes the stim, and all the sentries go down. All the Protoss army is done. 0 army supply left in Warbuff. I can imagine that the GG will become very soon. And then Dust advances onto the semi-final. Oh, it was close, I think, for a second, but Dust, he reacted well. Even though that pylon was destroyed, it still looked quite rough for Dust because he didn't know what was going on. He still was looking around. No one expects a second proxy pylon. That's true. No one does. No one expects that. And Dust will move on to face Sunyo, and it's number 1 seed versus number 4. The only seed that of the top 4 to make it was Baxter, who's third. He lost to Sunny, which was not a big issue. She's, as I said, a really strong player. Warbuff just said to me that he actually didn't know what was happening in that game while he was doing it. He kinda was just going along with what was happening. Suddenly OP indeed. Indeed she is. Going on vetoes, and again, Darkness Sanctuary, the first veto. Wouldn't be surprised if Redshift is the next one. Very little surprise there. Actually, I'm not really familiar with Sumiki. I haven't seen him play in much. Probably a very new member. So it'll be very interesting to see. And I don't know what race he plays either. So always seeing those new players is great. And this time, slightly different map pool, and we are going to see Dreamcatcher get in, along with Catalyst as well as Lost and Found. And I expect out of those 3 that Lost and Found will be the ace map, and this will be the last of best of 3 before we get to the finals with Odie and Sunny playing the other semi-final right now. It's Terran. Okay, so it's going to be a TBT. That's nice. I'm excited to cast TBT. It's not something I cast a lot, and it is definitely one of my favorite matchups to play, which I know I get a lot of flack because a lot of Terrans do not like TBT because of how coin flippy it is, but I enjoy it. I never used to, and then I found a build that works for me, and I've run with it pretty well, and it's gotten me a pretty good record in TVP. I mean TVTs, apologies, which I'm very happy with. But yeah, I was just asking, how did the stream look in the previous game? I hope it looked better. I did lower the bitrate, so maybe that helped out. So we're going to see Catalyst first. Very standard map. I think for TVT it's very interesting. It's a map that you can get quite out of position on. Doom drops I think also very prevalent. Any map I think for TVT Doom drops are prevalent. Maybe some of the shorter maps not necessarily, but still can be very dangerous. Something that you do need to watch out for as the turn. We're just waiting on the rain for the players. It's going to be red against yellow, which I'm happy about. I don't want to see a TVT where it's like red against pink or the two blues, and it just can get really weird. TVT I think out of all the mirrors it's easier to see because there are range units they fight away from each other, but it still can get confusing sometimes. Yeah. Mumbling my words. But yeah, it's even though it is quite late on that for me, I'm really enjoying it, and my words aren't working well with me. That's fine with me. Yep, I'm ready. So we're going into game number 1 on Catalyst. Very excited to cast the TOT, and one thing I can say, at least regardless of who wins the series, there will be a Terran in the final, and seeing Terran so well really makes me happy, and I'm hoping to pass on my crown to a Terran. But yeah, let's get into introduction and spoiling. In the bottom right, taking a previous series 2-0, he is Dust. And in the top left, in the yellow, he is Sumiki. And is a little different from both players. One player, Dust, is going for his supply depot more at the Reaper ramp, whereas Sumiki is going for the standard ramp. And that's not really much of a problem. It is just Dust saying he doesn't want Reapers coming in. You can wall off this side with a single building such as a Rax, a factory, or a starport, which I prefer to do with the factory, just so that I can also get this wall off at the front in case of any kind of Hellion or Cyclone attacks, because then if you get that wall off, as well as with the way I get the Liberator quite early on, that Liberator does pretty well defending against Cyclones. So yeah, it's definitely up to players' choice and the way they want to go about it. The god himself has arrived. I'm not too sure about that wall. Based on what I just saw, I'd say that's false. I do like you. I do consider you a friend, but call yourself God, I don't know about that one. It's definitely up for debate. And talking about this, we're seeing slightly different openers from both players. We're seeing Sumiki go for the Reaper Forest expand, whereas Dust going for the double gas into a factory, but at the same time he's not mining fully off gas, so he's probably looking to go for a slightly earlier CC than what we normally see. Normally with this, you want to go for that full starport as well, but just based on his gas mining, unless he goes for a Hellion, he's not necessarily going to have enough gas for that starport, especially if he goes for that Cyclone. We are seeing, there goes the worker down to the low ground just to put that CC down. So what Dust has done here is he's gone for more of an economic, not economic, a safer TVT build, because he's a little scared any kind of proxy with an earlier Cyclone can help a lot against it. We are going to see the first Reaper come in. It does get a pick off, and he sees that it is going to be Reaper fast expand. He will lose the Reaper for it though, so it's not. It's a pretty good scout for him. He did get that work, it delayed the CC quite a bit, and because he's got the Reaper back at home, you know, he's not behind in those Reapers. He's not behind that possible Reaper battle. So, you know, Tsumikki's Reaper can't get too much done across the map. And we are going to see it head across, and he should be able to spot, you know, exactly what Dust is doing. The fact that, you know, this slightly later CC and these Reapers actually are going to cross paths and move away from each other on the map. But there is a single Cyclone to beat the Reaper, so the Reaper actually will not even see. Yeah, there is no CC down, so he's still a little worried. A couple Marines came across the map, which is rather interesting because, you know, Marines shouldn't do too well against anything this early. We are going to see, you know, the Reaper picks it off that a Reaper even beats 2 Marines this early on. The Reaper's going to go home. I do like that choice from Dust. He's, you know, making sure that this Reaper stays alive. He wants to get a follow-up scout. He wants to see, are you going Banshees? Are you going for, you know, some kind of drop? Are you going for Cyclones? Which is exactly what we are seeing from Tsumikki. And I think those Marines were almost a throwaway, and I was going to say that he was going for Mac because he threw away those Marines, but seeing the fact that an extra Rax is on the way, it is a little interesting. We are going to see that Cloak coming out, which, you know, Dust isn't going to have any detection for at this point. You know, he doesn't have that Raven. He might have a Raven in the long term because he's getting the tech lab down on that starport, and possibly an E-band. Based on what I saw in previous series that he went Raven both games, I wouldn't be surprised for him to go for Raven. Interestingly though, from Tsumikki is he's getting that Cloak, but no Raven has. We know Banshee has started just yet, and now it does start. The Raven should be out in time, and the Banshee shouldn't be able to get too much damage unless that Raven is across the map. And yes, see, this is the semifinals. It's the upper semifinals. The other one being OD against Sun Lily, which I'm not sure of the winner just yet. You're going to see that the drop does come in and gets quite a few workers, forces, you know, Tsumikki to pull up the line, little bit of lost buying time. And at this point, you know, he is ahead in the workers, even though he took a slightly less economic opening. He's put himself ahead in this game. You should, yeah, I think you may be a little too strong for these players, considering the fact that I played you in the MVP and you crushed me, and I was a recent winner of this and now I'm Masters, so yeah, I don't know about that one. But we are seeing, you know, the Cyclones go in with the medevac as well as the Banshee, and, you know, he isn't in position for this right here, so the Banshee should be able to get a couple kills before anything happens. And no, Stim has not started as of yet for this. He's not reacting to the stack. He does move the Marines now, but really this Banshee is getting a lot more than it should. But at the same time, the Cyclones are dropping across the map. He does, you know, force these SUVs build, you know, just to repair, and he's going to drop in the main base. Should be able to get a few more workers. But Marines and Marauders are prepared for this, so this drop should be able to get shut down well. The Banshee does get shut down across the map, so even trades, I think, so far from both players, but even trades, I think, are better in this situation for Dust, just because he's got that earlier third CC and he was up in workers before that happened. But yeah, we are going to see him start to throw down turrets, so now he's going to be prepared for those Banshees if they do come in again. And I think, you know, Tsumikki only built that single Banshee, so, you know, it's not too much of a commitment there, although, you know, even though getting the Cloak, I prefer, you know, seeing 2 Banshees, just because Cloak is quite an investment for the amount of time it takes as well as how much it costs. But we are going to see a Raven coming out for Tsumikki, and he does have that earlier sim, so, you know, engagements for him could go better at a point when he does have that sim. So it definitely does need to be careful when he's moving out across the map. But if he does move now, you know, sim will not be finished for Tsumikki just yet, and, you know, we're not seeing any tanks as of yet for. So actually, apologies, there is a single tank, but, you know, Dust does have 2 tanks of his own, as well as the Raven, which, you know, if it can disable those tanks, then yeah, he's got the much stronger army. What we're seeing from Das is very good. He's starting to spread out those Marines, and he's looking at, are you going for an attack? And this is a battle of TVT. Oftentimes, is who can get the control of the map, who's going to be able to see the map. Because if you have map control, you can see attacks coming before they even happen. You can prepare them. The Raven's going to come in, but it's going to be meted by a missile turret. Losing this Raven at this point could be really costly. Ooh, he does lose it with the move out coming. And he could be in a lot of trouble. He's going to have 2 siege tanks down, but with the amount of energy on this Raven, wherever it is, I think, where did he put that Raven? I didn't even see. Oh, there it is. Then those tanks get disabled, and he's looking to go for a drop. And if these tanks and Marines get in position in time, before there's a reaction from Psionic, he could be in a lot of trouble, because those tanks are going to release them for both players, and there actually are Marines left in this base, and this is a really huge. If he didn't have these Marines left there, then he could be in a lot of trouble. At the same time, because he's moved the majority of his army, he's leaving himself quite vulnerable at the front, and a tank push can be very dangerous. And also, he's got quite a few Marauders in his army, which, while they do well against the siege tanks, they don't do too well up against straight up stim bio. Now, with this positioning, he's going to be very difficult for him to break this. Although a stim for Das will be a bit of an issue because he doesn't have too many medevacs. And there is quite a bit of bio, but at the same time, the drop in the main base moves in, and now that could do a lot of damage. Really getting a lot of workers. He's on top of those E-bays, and with 1-1 really finished for Dustin, he's going to be able to cancel +1, and now he'll probably get quite a few tanks as well as Marines, just because these Marines are going to trade so much better. Now this is looking really bad for Psionic. A 4th base already on the way for Dust. He's got the strong econ. He's got a much better setup for this mid game. And we are going to see the Vikings moving, so he should be able to clear out the medevacs. But still, like these Marines aren't trading well. There is no common shields for Dust, so the Marines don't do as well. But these tanks are really getting some good shots off, and everything actually goes down. Clears up the medevacs. And now there is a Marine in those 2 tanks, but once that Marine's cleaned up, you should be able to get on top of those tanks with Vikings or just Marines and dropping them. But another move is coming from Dustin. He's got the overwhelming arm space. Actually, if this base isn't lifted in time or repaired, this is going to go down. If the repair is just a little bit too late, he loses that, and now it's going to be a 5 base Dust already on the way against just a mere 2 base to Mikian. He's going to eventually clean this up. The tanks do go down, but the damage has already been done, and he's moving I think 2 tanks are still alive, and he's going to lose even more SCVs, and the already bad position that he was in is just getting even worse. These Marines being in tank range, they're going to go down. GG is called from Psionic. Dust takes game number 1 in quite a strong fashion. He used the distraction very well. I would like to see, I think, the drop go in after that push game, just because some Terrans might not have pushed, split their army a lot better, so then that drop doesn't actually do any damage. I think Psionic is saying that he did make a lot of mistakes, but that sometimes happens when you're under pressure, especially in TVT. It can be very stressful. You don't do exactly what you were intending to do, and you don't think as clearly, especially in situations which you haven't necessarily been in before. But you see map number 2. I think Lost and Found would probably be the obvious choice for me. Maybe not necessarily for these 2 players. I think. I mean, I don't know if he would been done so, but definitely he would put himself behind. Because when you lose 2 medevacs full of units, maybe if it was just Marines, then not necessarily. But because there's 2 tanks in there, and that would have equaled the tank count, then it would have put Dust definitely in quite a bad position. But because he wasn't able to do any damage, when he could kill those medevacs, he just took so much damage. He lost the CC, he lost majority of his army, and the follow up just ended the game. And surprisingly, we are going to be seeing Dreamcatcher. I haven't played a lot of games on this map, TVTs especially. I think mostly I've played TVZ and TVP, but I think it's for out of all the maps, it is pretty decent. For TVT, can be very interesting at times. Because I think it's got a very straight path to your opponent's base, but at the same time, tanks can't fit through that straight path, so they have to either be lifted into medevacs, or you have to destroy the rocks and move around, which, that's already delayed time. So if you want to do that, tank pushes can take a lot longer than what you normally would until you've got those rocks down. Dust is just going to have a second to get water. And also remember that JetRX is streaming the other semifinal, so if you want to check that semifinal out, definitely go watch that Twitch TV/JetRX SC2. Yeah, seems that Dust is ready, he's back, and we're going to go into game number 2 very shortly. I am ready to go. I probably should say before the game that I'm always ready, unless I say otherwise. Well, one thing I do like is when players ask if the cast is ready, because sometimes you're not. Obviously, normally you would say if you're not, but you could be talking about something that you feel is important. Like for whenever I cast for Proxy Tempers, sometimes it's talking about a match arena page or whatever, and you do want to talk about that before actually getting into the game. So, getting into game number 1, he's spawning here in the bottom right, taking game number 1 game away from the final. He is Dust. And in the top left, in the yellow, he is Sumiki. And I think, for large parts of the game, didn't look too bad, but from that mid game onwards, it didn't go very well for him. He lost the Raven. He traded with Dust, who was ahead economically, and then that drop getting away from him really just did too much damage, and he struggled to recover from there. So you're going to see same opening again from Dust. He is getting the second gas, as well as Sumiki hasn't got their second gas just of yet. Yeah. So you must play in the MVP. I say you're one of the favorites, probably alongside guys like Jardoza and JetRX and Kingslayer. You're very good. Did very well for us in the team league, which shall not be named. Definitely a very strong player. I had a lot of fun watching your games, that's for sure, and I'm sure for the MVP you'll provide more good games. But yeah, it's going to be the same openings from both players as we saw in the last game. Reaper fastest man coming from Sumiki. And this time, what is different about this map is that there's only one Reaper path up into the main base, because this is too hard for Reapers to get into. You can jump up that ledge into here, but at the same time, the Terran player will probably see that, and this does mean that you can kind of get away with going for that single Reaper. And Dust already preparing for that, going for that supply depot there, and as we saw last game, he doesn't really favor that wall off, so he probably says to himself, I don't need the wall off. I can just wall off there with the way the Reaper jumps and force him to go all the way around, which just delays an extra second. Maybe allows the Cyclone to come up, but the Reaper is going to go home for Sumiki, but the Reaper's coming across with us, and there's actually more HP on this Reaper, and even though this grenade's going to hit, actually he does get an extra shot off, so now Dust does have to back off, and he does have the second Reaper that if he wants to take it across, he definitely can. And something that's interesting that Dust does, which is I'm a big fan of, is whenever his Reaper's hurt, he shift cues it around the map and then sends it all the way back, just so that then, he can get the full health back on the Reaper. And again, these Reapers are going to meet a god mismatch. And this time, Mickey does get that first couple shots off, so he can do it across. But this time, a bunker is going to come down from Sumiki. So, and now with this couple Marines, this shouldn't get too much done. It was a slightly different opening. The Sim is definitely a lot early. We saw a lot earlier second reaction. He's delayed his starboard by quite a bit. And I think this is him reacting to the way that Dust played. That he doesn't really go for any kind of Banshee play, anything very aggressive early on, even though he goes for a slightly earlier gas, to get up those units to be. But he does it more as a defensive play, and this time, Dust, he hasn't seen that starport, so he's probably just a little worried that maybe this Banshee's on the map. That he's getting the early eBay. He's gonna want to get those missile turrets up. But what we're seeing from Sumiki is, something that you don't necessarily see in the team to team matchup, and that's 2-on-1, which it's very interesting to see. It is definitely a build that is fallen out of fashion, I think, in all matchups. Still see it sometimes in TVZ and TVP, but you very rarely see it in TVT, just because tanks are very strong against Marines, and a single tank siege up, if he does have it, can do a lot. But as we're seeing so far, there's only just Cyclones. There's no tanks, so if this does hit before any tanks are out, then Dust can have a lot of issues, because Marines against Stim Marines won't do too well. Reaper does get picked off, so he does scout that there's a Cyclone, doesn't see the second one, but with the missile turret there, he should be able to get a bit of damage on the medevac. But the medevac does come in. He should be able to get a couple workers before the Marines are coming. Stim is nearly finished, but with the medevac, and he has enough Marines to work put it back. He does get quite a bit of damage done to that medevac before it goes out. So next time it comes in, Dust has to be a lot more careful with it, because if he takes the same amount of damage, he will lose that medevac. But a good amount of damage he's brought himself, even in the worker count, and now he should be able to get the third base down maybe very shortly, because similar to what he did in the last game. But something he has to be very careful as is this 2-1. His first tank is going to come out. He is getting a Raven, which will have enough energy for an interference matrix, but even though the interference matrix will come down, he could be a little bit of trouble. But Dust does know exactly what's happening. He knows that it's going to be some sort of Marine drop, because we saw the amount of Marines is, but the tank is out of position. He does see it, but he is a little indecisive with this drop. The drop is going to come in. Maybe he can get, he does get interference matrix, so a few Marines who can, does them in, but he may be able to get onto that tank straight away. He actually clears up quite a lot of those Marines, but he does lose the tank, and he actually is going to lose everything. But not really getting too much damage. He did get the tank down, but at the same time, that only equalizes the tank count, because Sumiki only started that tank now, and the fact that there's a third base down for Dust and no third base for Sumiki, he had to do a lot more with that drop than he probably should have. Than he did. And now we're going to see the Cyclones move across the map. There's a handful of Marines, and as well as the Liberator, which can actually do quite a bit of damage to that medevac. And the drop, the Cyclones maybe will get a few more SCVs, but these Cyclones, they are definitely losing their time in the game. So he does pick off one SCV, not necessarily focused on him. He does get the medevac out of there. Will get a couple more SCVs, and he will be able to save one of the Cyclones. So not a bad drop. He does have a few Marines and a Cyclone thing that actually could maybe cancel this base before Sumiki does react to it. But at the same time, his third base is down on location. He does have the economic lead. He's ahead 5 workers. He isn't making any workers at this point, so he might start to lose that lead that he has built, even though he does have that third CC. But we are starting to see him get those upgrade system. Still is quite far away, so going for attacks at this point is definitely very dangerous, because Stim Marines against unstim Marines won't go too well at this point. And there's no common shields from either player, which I would like to see started for Sumiki very soon, as though he does have the tech lab on that Rex. He's got Stim already, whereas Dust, he can't get that just yet, because he still needs to research them. I think your Dust probably would recognize the situation. He knows he's ahead economically, but down in terms of attacking potential, and now he's going to play defensive. And with the Marines across the map, he's going to spot this move out. But it is quite a dangerous move out because there is still some Marines with us, but at the same time, there is only that single tank, which actually there's two tanks, so he does need to be very careful. If he catches this, even if he catches, I think he's actually in a lot of trouble. He does have three tanks of his own, so that is looking. He does pick off one tank, and now I think taking out that tank, he's definitely taking out a lot of potential for this attack from Psionic. Once he's stim finished, you can probably stim on top of that, get rid of attack, but at the same time he's still down in army supplies. Quite a bit of army back at home for Psionic. He's again making those marauders, which is definitely an interesting choice for this TVT matchup. He does force the tank to be to re-siege up, but at the same time, the Liberator wasn't going to siege him. He actually can stim on top of the rest of his army. He's going to stim right on top of this tank. He might lose a single tank for this, but at the same time, he cleans up most of the army. He gets a couple minutes. More army is coming from Psionic, and he does fall back, but he may be able to have taken that if he was ready for it. But, he's caught up quite well in the work count. He hasn't really dropped too much. He's getting combat shields on the way, but at the same time, he only has that +1. So, his bio isn't just looking as strong as it is for Dust. Ooh, OD's in the finals, and that is hype. I'm very excited to cast him. Both players are going to meet on the map. Dust does stem out first, but there's that Liberator that's there. Michelle is liking. Don't we all? I think OD is the man to be at this point. But one thing that Psionic has done is he has got a second factory, and I do like this choice, especially for TVT, because the player with the higher work count, tank count, most of the time should win the battles unless you're caught unsieged, and he's going to take the advantage. And he's going to make up for the fact that he will be down in those bio upgrades, but at the same time, he does have the combat shields on the way, whereas Dust doesn't have it just yet. So he might not be able to take those fights as well, even though he will have that slight upgrade advantage in terms of 2-1 versus 1-1. I would have loved to see you, Lanfear. Definitely had some good games last time out. Got very close, I think, to winning. You definitely could have won this time. But we're gonna see Dust move in. Siege up does come first from Psionic, so he'll be able to engage a lot better, and especially considering that there's no combat shields, these tanks hit a lot harder than normal. And I do apologize for the channel screen. I forgot to disable that because it's not something I'm used to disabling. But he's going to move out with 2 medevacs. One is quite a hurt medevac, and that can be snapped down pretty quickly. But still no combat shields on the way for Dust, so he still doesn't have that. Going to take quite a lot of damage from those siege tanks, but the drop is moving out. There is a sensor tower, and then he's going to move into sensor tower, and so Dust should be able to see this. He hasn't reacted yet, but this is going to move for the third base. He's expecting... he's going to pick up one of the medevacs before any Marines come out, and that's a lot of the potential in this drop going. He even loses a couple more Marines. And now, this drop is still going to get quite a bit of damage, but definitely a lot less than what it could have done. He's going to pick up the sensor tower, and that is really good. Now, any follow-up drop could do a lot, but at the same time, he's down the base once again. He's going to have a 4th base down for Dust. He's hit quite a bit in the work count. He does need to resaturate a bit. He's quite oversaturated in his main base and natural. And he's gone up to 70 workers, which is quite a bit in TVT. You normally see more, what Psionic on with it. 60 work count, but we're going to see both players move across the map again, and looking like they're probably going to cross paths once again. And this can be come down to who sieges first. Is 2-1 versus 1-1, but at the same time there's no combat shields for Dust, so his Marines definitely aren't as strong as what they could be. But both players are going to actually pass each other, and this could end up turning to base raid, which I think at this point does favor Dust, just because he's got the planetary fortress coming up that you have to have tanks sieged up to defend against it. He does have tanks of his own, but at the same time, he does have a couple tanks that he can use to defend. Dust is maxed out this one, so he's going to take quite a few tank shots. Those Marines aren't living as long as they possibly could have because of the lack of shield. But I think, seeing that he's going to scare Simicky away. And now he's going to pick off a couple of these tanks. And now, because he's doing a lot more damage across the map, he's probably going to pick off his base. That this ended up being a lot better for Dustin. He's even in this main base. He's picking off production. He's picking off an eBay. He is going to probably lose his own base, although he does have Marines rallying out. That he should be able to hold this eventually. And now with this attack actually across it, he's doing a lot better in this base trade. He's trading relatively efficiently, as well as he's killing a lot more economically. So he's trading well, while also killing a lot economically. I don't get into a lot of TVT base trades. I think it's because I end the game before TVT base trades can even be a thing. But I think at this point, as the dust settles, no pun intended, Dust definitely has found himself in a better position. He's up in workers. He's kept his 4 bases alive, so he's looking a lot better. Crazy burning, scrambling mess. Yeah, that's how I describe a TVT base trade. But yeah, Dust still has quite a lot of backing, so he has the air control. I promise that was not intended. I promise. So there's actually a couple of tank siege up here that he'll be able to pick off, but still no combat shields. So his Marines aren't doing as bad. I think if he had combat shields, then he would have been able to trade a lot better in this one. Ooh, these Marines are going to take so many tank shells. Or the Marines just go down. They were so heavily stemmed that now Dust has taken such a big yeah, I am dropping. I have been for a while. I did try and lower the bitrate. Doesn't seem to be helping nearly as much. I do apologize for that. I hope to fix that for the next time I stream. Yeah, definitely it's not looking too good. I do really apologize for that. But we are going to see Sumiki go for a base in the top right. I think he knows that he's down economically. He's down in this game. That he's got to try something. Terranol casting TVT. Yeah, true. But actually, Dust is going to scout this base, and now he's going to move towards it. And this attempt to get rid of that base is just going to go down straight away. And possibly even this base as well. If he loses that, then it's just going to be 2 bases against 4. Yeah, he set up such a strong position that Sumiki really can't move out at this point. That he wants to defend this base, but he's probably going to have a lot of trouble defending it with the few forces they have. He's going to move out now, but if he does, then he's probably going to be surrounded on all sides. And before that even happens, he's going to lose a lot of workers, and there's the GG. Dust move on to take on OD in the final. Yeah, this is it. This is for the crown. Who will take my crown away from me? A lot of stress. Who's gonna take it? I think I'm still going for OD. But I definitely did say at the beginning that these 2 would make the final, and that is what has happened. Yeah. Finals is a best of 5. And it should be a good one. I just want to change the social settings so I don't see the chat in game. I know that does get a little annoying. Buff Terran Lord. Why buff Terran Lord? And also, thank you, Xenodactyl, for the 1 bit, which always helps, as small or biggest contribution that it is. Nerf. Well. Nerf. I don't know about nerfing me. I'd take a buff, that's for sure. Maybe buff my ping or something. I don't know. Next patch, Terran Lord nerfed. Maybe. Maybe I will. Drugs. I'll make sure that's... Yeah. Wait a second there. Buffed ESP. Yeah. Nerf mules. Why nerf my mules? I like my mules. Don't take away my mules. Medevacs can only carry 1 cyclone. Yeah, that would be a nerf to me in TVT for sure. That would suck. Yeah, that would suck pretty hard. Not gonna lie, I would not be happy with that change. I do like my cyclone drops. Very much so. Mules are OP. Why are my mules in particular OP? What about other Terrans' mules? Surely their mules are strong. Yeah. Yeah, cyclone drops. It's a build I've been doing for a while. I think even before patch 4.0 came out, I've been playing that build in TVT. Since I started playing the build, probably 60 to 70% win rate in TVT. Building turrets. Yeah. Building turrets. Yeah, some Terrans just shut me down whenever I do that, and I'm in a lot of trouble in the game. Okay, Acid Plant will be map number 1 for our finals, and I think this is definitely the series I wanted to see from the start. I'm very excited to see it. I hope you're all excited, and at least there's a Terran in the finals that I can say, and whoever wins this, I'll be very happy for either one. You know, both are a lot newer to PsiX than some of our other players, but definitely have made a name for themselves in that short time of being at Dust. Has played in quite a few clan wars. His meteoric rise, I feel that has been incredible. You know, from gold to diamond 1 in, I think, a week or something, which is really incredible to see. And I'm sure Masters will be on the horizon for him pretty soon. That aside, spawning in the bottom right, in the red, he is Dust. And in the top left, spawning as Protoss. In the blue, he is Odie. Odie gets the Ultimate Smurf Award. Yeah, he's the best Smurf without actually being a Smurf. And it's a shame for him, sometimes, because sometimes in Clan Wars, when you see a record like that, you're going to be thinking to yourself, okay, this guy's a Smurf, but when you look in deeper into it, he's not really. It's just that he's coming back from the game. Thank you, Snoopy. You are always on top of things, as always. I'm surprised, actually, that I've only forgot to change the overlay twice. I was expecting it to be every game. I've forgotten the scores a few times, but that's fine. I'm happy. The drop frames, not so much. But yeah, we are going to see a little something aggressive from Oni. We're going to see the Cybernetics score first. Yeah. And now we're going to see the proxy pylon. This time we're going to see a gateway with this proxy. I was expecting to see a Stargate, but that's what we're going to see. But Dust does see the lack of expansion. He sees the two gases, sees the Odin Cyber core, so he knows something is definitely coming his way, and I can imagine this Reaper will be looking for that proxy very shortly. He has like 1 million builds. Yeah, every game I've seen him, I've seen a different build. I'm like, how do you know all these builds? I have like maybe 2 builds each matchup. TVT 1 basically, unless I play Reaper Forest Expand, which is very rare. But we're gonna see Stargate as well. This is gonna get very interesting. Apologies. Nah. Xenodes, don't be a party pooper. Let Landfear have it. Maybe 2 million. Every build in the game, Odie knows. He knows it to perfection. Maybe 18 pulls. So we've gone from 1 million down to 9, back to 1 million to 2 million to 18. Interesting. I'd like to see where we go from next. But yeah, we're going to see the bunker coming from Dust. He still has not scouted exactly what Odie's doing. He hasn't seen the fact that it's a Stargate. Okay, 18. But still 18, yeah. That's a lot. And we are going to see the proxy void ray shenanigans with the shield batch, which, as a Terran player, I can say to you, it's not fun to face. I am not the biggest fan of the build. Having faced multiple times in the series, it's interesting. 42 builds, okay, so we settled on 42 now. Oh, now at 18 and a half. Wow. I don't know, eh? That's interesting. I can't really tell you exactly how many builds he has. This is getting interesting. Are we gonna get a 19 now? Okay, so is it 42? Oh, can we settle on 42? Yeah, Dusty is gonna see his shield batch. He's gonna see the void ray, and now he knows exactly what's facing him. And one thing, I'm not a big fan of the fact that he's going to try to defend his main base, but at the same time, based on the proxy location being here, he won't have as hard of a time defending his main base. But Willemar does get a good connection, and the first void ray does good time, doesn't pull it back just in time. But yeah, we're going to see, the bunker does go down, so that isn't, he does lose a few units. He might have to, force, he's going to try force Odie away from his CC, but he cannot afford to lose this. If he loses this, then he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Stalkers with this void ray probably should be able to burst this Duncan. He's going to send a single, actually no, the SCP puts, he loses the CC. Repair was just not in time, and now, because Odie can probably contain his Terran opponent now on one base, he can probably just hold it. He is actually just going to go for the straight up kill, and now he's got rid of the Cyclone. It's just Marines left. He does get the void ray down, but the rest of the Marines just go down. He's going to try to pull all his SCVs, but he's going to lose a lot in this. He loses he does get quite a good workable. He gets a good surround, but he gets a lot of these stalkers. But behind this, he's lost quite a bit. A lot of his army has gone down, but at the same time, a lot of OD's army as well. He cannot afford to fight by these shield batteries. This is, I think, a bit of an overextension. The Void Ray isn't out just yet, but there's just so much shield battery energy here that, you know, these stalkers shouldn't go down too quickly. And now, you know, the Marines have gone down. He's starting to lose the sniper, and these SCVs just don't have enough DPS against the shield battery energy. And now he's going to lose quite a lot of these workers. With a Void Ray coming out and very little army behind this, all these SCVs are going to go down. And there's the GG from Dustin. OD is going to take game number 1. Yeah, my Terran heart. That was not fun to watch as a Terran. Having died to that build is many times. I think it started off okay for Dust, you know, picking off that Void Ray, but then he committed too hard, I think, to that defensive player. He could have pulled back with those SCVs, you know, maybe tried to defend harder, because he had killed a lot of those stalkers, and with only one Void Ray and a handful of stalkers, he may have been able to hold away from the shield battery. Yeah, we're going to see, looks like second map's going to be Lost and Found. As I always say, a very standard map, and I think a lot of players have lost and found MMR on this map, but I'd say it's pretty even. Out of all players, that they lose and gain MMR pretty evenly. Definitely Xenodactyl's favorite map to see, or to play on, because Cannon Rush and it's pretty, like I say, broken on this map, but it's definitely very strong and can abuse it a lot more than any other map in the map pool. I'm always ready. And one thing I do like from Odie is he's always very excited. Like, I always see exclamation marks at the end of his sentence, and it just makes me very happy when players are that excited to play a game. So, you know, obviously having his laugh, being the Cannon Rusher and the follower of Printf. I'm sure that he can definitely find his way to Masters soon with his Cannon Rushes. He just needs to get that macro a little better, and he'll be there. And now, let's get into introductions. And spawning in the top right, in the red, almost taking game number 1, he's Dust. And in the bottom left, again spawning as Prolos, taking game number 1, he is Odie. Let's see if he goes for something very similar, or he just plays a standard macro game, which I know he's very capable of. His macro is pretty strong. But we are going to see the SCV move out quite early. He does want to know exactly what he's going up against. He wants to know the race, because, you know, obviously Odie does spawn is random, so you don't know his race from the start unless he tells it to you, which some random players do say, and it's not a requirement of players. It's the whole thing about playing random is you can choose if you want to you know, tell the race or not. Whenever I play random, I do tell a race, because I feel like it gives me a little bit of an advantage, and I'd rather not have that advantage because I'm more practicing each race individually. Yeah, that's just me. Every person's different. I probably get that from my brother Phoenix Tears, who is a random player and does, you know, tell his race at the beginning of the game. But he is starting to move towards being Prolos more, which I'm not happy about. I'll say that, because he used to play Terran exclusively, and he is the reason why I play Terran. So him playing Prolos now does make me sad. But you are going to see standard opening coming from Dust, not necessarily standard from Odie. He does have the Cybernetics core first. Yeah, Phoenix is an honorable random player. I will agree with you on that one. He's pretty honorable. Doesn't cheese nearly as much as most random players. Well, that's something, telling a player that if you're gonna cannon rush. Yeah, he went to the dark side and he left PsiX, which is very sad. Yeah. Yeah, no, some random players do laugh. That's why whenever I'm like, they tell me the race, and I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you're Zerg? And I check his Zerg, like, okay, you're Zerg. Yeah, it's. I knew it was coming before it happened, and even when it happened, I was still very sad. He's obviously one of the main reasons why I joined PsiX. One of the people who recruited me, and what makes it even sadder is the two people who recruited me, Volticus and Phoenix Tears, are no longer part of PsiX. It just feels very weird, the fact that they're no longer here. Which it is quite standard for both of them. I've seen a couple shield batteries coming down from Odie. I think he's a little scared of an attack which isn't going to come at this point. We're seeing a bunker coming down from Dust, and that's normally what you think is, okay, he's playing very defensive, but I'm going to see a proxy pylon coming down from Odie. Interesting to see what he does with that. It could be just for a couple walk-ins, so he hasn't really chosen much tech besides the Blink Stalkers, and I think that's what we're going to see is going to be that Blink Stalker attack. I know exactly what she's going to say. He's going to tell me that we're going to take in Cranky Ducklings and they're going to come back. It's all part of his plan. He's going to catch the medevac across the map, and this is really big now. He shuts down 2 Wither Mines, and that's actually quite a bit of army supply. Now, with the bunker there, he should probably be able to hold these Blink Stalkers, and having that bunker was a really smart choice. But they are going to see extra Stalkers warping, and eventually it's going to be too much. But with the Raven coming out, he should be able to have enough DPS, and he's not all in off this. He's still got a Nexus behind this. He can just contain the Terran on 2 bases. Yeah, I know you too well. But yeah, he should be able to pick off a couple Marines, and he's forcing a lot of minerals to be spent in repairing the bunker. But otherwise, he hasn't gotten too much damage done. His Stim is quite delayed, so he can still, push across with these Blink Stalkers. And I think that's one thing when you do go for this opener, while you can get like tech units out, like siege tanks, to defend against this, you don't have the Stim. So she's plans for world domination now. He's gonna take us all on. But I think now with this tank and the Raven out, that these Stalkers shouldn't be able to poke in too much without losing their lives before getting out of there. Odie's transitioning to the charge back at home as well as an Immortal, so all these Stalkers are here to do is keep Dust on his side of the map. As I say that he does go in, does take a tank shot, but he knows the tank's there now. This is why we must fry the fish. The actual ducks will be harmed in the process. Yeah, that's for sure. For the she doesn't mean we know, it's just funny. It's just that was our motto for our wonderful revolution. We've got to keep it up, even if it doesn't make sense. Still, it's our motto. Let us have it. Let us salvage something from the Great Revolution that me, Sippy Cup, and Xenodactyl and Gorgonoth put together. It was Sippy Cup who said that. He was the one who started Fry the Fish, and then everyone just joined in saying Fry the Fish. But yeah, he's still pushing with these Stalkers. He does pick off a Wither Mine. It's a good pick off. It is going to be quite a big 2-base attack coming from Dust, as he hasn't dropped that 3rd base. just yet. And any little pick-off that he gets, because it's such an aggressive opening, he does want to keep every unit alive, that is, dust that is. And these stalkers being out across the map are going to be very annoying for him, because these stalkers can pick off a few marines here, maybe even a couple medevacs for this push. And the longer he delays the push, the better is going to get for Odie. And with charge on the finish of +1/+1, then he's gonna get, I'm also starting to get very worried for that. Like, the push is coming, but I mean, he's going for a 2-base attack, and he's not that far ahead of the Terran. And while it's just Stalker's charge lot, these charge lots are gonna be quite well upgraded. And now these Stalkers are still out of the map. They still can delay, and he's gonna see this move out. I mean, yes, he's gonna kill the Observer, but at the same time, Odie knows exactly where it's coming from. And the Observer actually does survive. The Raven does go aside. The Storm is on the way. That will not be finished in time, for this initial push. But if he's able to delay for long enough, then the Storm will be done. And Storm against 2-base attack can be very deadly. And again, we're just seeing these Stalkers try to delay as much as possible. Yeah, and with 2 Immortals, quite a lot of charge lots and Stalkers, I think this attack from Dust is going to look rough. He's looking for the 3rd base, but that's not where it is. The 4th base is on the other side, and being on 4 bases, if he survives this attack, as long as he doesn't take too much damage, he will be in a really strong position. The anti-armor does come down, does get a really good connection, but a lot of the Terran army is going down. The tank and those traitor wither mines get majority of the bio army down, and now all the medevacs get done. GG is called from Dust. Odie takes game number 2, and that looked really rough for Dust. I think he went for a 2-base attack, but didn't even have enough army supply to deal with what Odie had, and he was on 4 bases. And it wasn't that Dust was looking bad economically, like he took too much damage or anything. He had to repair a lot, but there wasn't any game-ending damage or anything like that. But, Odie, he's looking really strong, and we said at the beginning of this, definitely a favorite to take this, and for sure he's looked at. It's a hard luck life for a Terran. Indeed it is. Us Terrans, that's why we gotta stick together all the time. It's a tough life. Already saying he's shaking. I can imagine. I do know, as having won a couple Diamond under the events, that playing in a final, especially when you're on match point, can be very shaky. It can be very difficult for you. It's a lot of nerves, especially when it's your first time. And thank you once again, Zeno, for that shamrock bit, cheering for Dust, and hopefully he can bring it back. I do want to see some more games, and it's going to be Dreamcatcher coming up. Dust does seem to like this map. Thick French Terran, but fair. Don't we all have that Terran ready? Yeah, I'm always ready. Please no Protoss. Please no Pro. Yeah, I will feel bad for Dust if Odie gets Protoss. I think it's probably his strongest race. I mean, it's looked so damn strong. I'd be scared to play against Odie. That's what I was saying. I'm really scared, and gosh darn it, Protoss again. But yeah, anyway, let's get into introductions. And in the top left, in the red, looking for the reverse sweep, can he get it? He's Dust. And in the bottom right, in the blue, one game away from taking the entire tournament. He is Odie. No, not like this. Yeah, I feel for Dust. I do, because it just looks so damn strong in that game. Yeah, what are the odds? Random gets Prolos all 3 games. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And I mean, Dust is going to scout it once again. He's going to see him. This time he may play a little more aggressive, that he goes for some kind of proxy, like very strong proxy, like as Optimus recommended, proxy cyclone. I think, Odie didn't really have that many units out in the early stages, but Odie is getting proxy power. Wow. And even Odie is like, because I mean, he couldn't reveal it. He didn't want to, but then as soon as Dust knew, then I got Prolos. Yeah, I am Lord of Terrans, Terran Lord, the Thonking Terran of Africa, and many other names that I have. You could probably ask Twitch chat for the names that I have, because I probably have lost them. 27-1. Pretty specific odds, I'll say. I can't guarantee on that. I'll go with that. I think 27-1 is a pretty solid odds. Same builders game, number 1 from Odie, and who can blame him? It worked very well in game 1. Yeah, I Helveticus. I don't cast that much for PsiX. I normally cast for Proxy Tempest mostly, and sometimes for OC, not really for PsiX. Just because a lot of the times aren't that good for me, or I haven't had fiber up until this point. And I've actually only been able to stream now, so that's very good. And you'll probably be seeing a lot more of me, just because of the fact that I got fiber. And one thing which has been a problem, which I'm sad about, is the fact that the frames have been dropping quite a bit, which is really weird. When I streamed yesterday on my own channel, I didn't drop a single frame. I know obviously last time I streamed on 15, so it could just be that. Or is it that the internet hasn't been as strong as it maybe could be as it was yesterday? We will see. And Dust does scout this pylon. I mean, he's going to shut down this wide pylon, which, I mean, it's powering 3 shield batteries, but actually, and he's going to bring the Marines, the Reaper, and the SCV, so he should. Oh wait, there's a second pylon. I missed that. And now, Odie is like November Pro thus, with November Star in every other matchup. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Hey, this is November. But yeah, I mean, like this is actually really bad stuff like this. He's starting to lose units. He's gonna have to force to be lifted CC. The Void Ray has taken quite a bit of damage, but it hasn't taken like enough that there's Marines that can take it down. And because of the bunker placement, I do like it, but at the same time, his production is undefended. The fact that he's going to lose the reactor is not going to be really good for him. He's going to pull out now, but with the Stalkers coming out, these Marines are just going to go down straight away. The Cyclone comes out, it goes down straight away to that Void Ray. So many Marines have gone down. All he's left with is 7 armor supply. There's still more Stalkers on the way. This is one thing that's different about Odie's plays. Normally you see a lot more Void Rays and a lot less Stalkers. But you see a lot of Stalkers with what he does, and there's the GG, and Odie is going to take game number 3 and take the series 3-0. Wow. My Terran teeth. Yeah, same. But I can say I'm very happy for Odie. He definitely, I didn't deserve it. I didn't cast the rest of his games, but those games looked hella strong. That he took down Dust, who's a 400-500 Terran, and he made him look pretty bad. I'll say that. I don't want to face Rudy. Um, I don't think I want to play OD in his pearls. Yeah, I'm gonna miss GSL, and let's just stay up to them. But I will definitely catch the void. I normally do miss GSL because if I wake up early, that means that I'm going to university. So then I can't see the games at university, or I sleep too late because it usually starts like 10 o'clock, and I normally only wake up like 12 the earliest. So I do miss that one. I definitely will check out the void, hoping that Maru wins another one. But I don't want to get too greedy. I think Zest, he's a very strong player. He hasn't been as strong recently, but definitely can turn it on. We've seen a lot from him. And thank you guys for watching. It's been a really fun cast. Definitely not something I was expecting to cast, but had a lot of fun doing it. I hope you guys enjoy the tournament. And once again, congratulations to Odie. And my name is Terran Lord of Terrans. You can find me on my personal Twitch at twitch.tv/PsiX _Lord of Terrans. And hopefully I will be streaming a lot more, maybe one tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.